Started it all. Yeah, we're live. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. And I have things for sale today. So I have we're going to start off with a bunch of cans, but I have some other miscellaneous things that I brought back. Trying to clean out. I have several storage areas that I just need to get stuff out of. Rather than having it sit there and collect dust. It just doesn't make any sense. All of these things I've used a bunch for testing over the years. And now it's time to clear it out so I can make room for other stuff, or just get rid of that storage area would be really, really nice. But I have a bunch of camshafts to start out with. I also have some rockers. I have some lifters. I've got a lower intake manifold. So what I'll do is we'll start out with let's start out with the Ford stuff. So I have, and I can find out what this is. I found one Chevy cam also. Chevrolet, it's a 12, so it's a small block. 12,476. Well, we'll have to look that one up. Oh, there we go. 12,476. So that is it says that that's a 4-pattern cam. I'll have to take a look at that and see. That would have been way back. But we'll start off with the Ford stuff. So for the Ford stuff, what I have available is I have a set of new lifters that we were going to be using on one of the junkyard LS motors, and it turned out that the factory lifters were already really good. We thought they would have to replace them. Sometimes when we get these Explorer motors and things way back, this box has just been sitting for a long time. But they're Comp 850-16 hydraulic roller lifters for a 5-liter Ford. So they work on a 302 or a 351 Windsor. And those obviously are good hydraulic roller lifters. If you've taken a look at what pricing is on those things, I'm sure that they're not cheap. In fact, let's because we're doing a sale day. Summit Racing. And we're looking, and we're looking, and we're looking. Yeah, so those are, I think those are about $300 new from Summit. So let's say 50%, let's say $150 for the lifters. If anybody's interested, I have, for those guys that are interested, I have my email in the description of this video. So if you're interested in anything, let me know. Lifters would be a good idea if you're doing a junkyard motor, doing an Explorer or whatever, you're putting a different camshaft in it. I reuse a lot of that stuff, and sometimes it works out really well. But for somebody that's putting a build together and they want new Ford, small block Ford lifters, those are available. I put my email address up there, so send me an email. The next thing is, for anybody who's interested in 460 Ford stuff, I have 3 fairly good size cams, solid roller cams for big block Fords. I also have an oil pan for a big block Ford for a 460 or 429. And I had something else and I think like a timing set also for a big block Ford. But the cams I have for the big block Ford are a 34-770-9, a 34-772-9, and a 34-773-9. These are all solid rollers. One of them, they're all a good bit over 600 lift, usually in the mid 600s, 650, 660, 670. One of them is a 236, 242. One of them is a 248, 254, and then the other one is a 254, 260. So they basically kind of go up in steps. It's 3 bigger cams. They're cams that we use when we were doing 460 testing stuff. And so those cams are all available. If you're looking to make big power from from a 460 Ford. Those are available. And by the way, somebody mentioned that they need a Chuck Norris cam. I have the low buck truck cams and the one step above that cams. I still have those available, and those are on sale right now until after LS Fest, and then the price is going to go up. Right now, they're $169 shipped. They're going to go up because shipping on these things is tremendously expensive. And so I have to adjust that. So there's going to be another probably $20 or $25 added to that for the shipping stuff. But for right now, and if anybody that goes to LS Fest can buy it for that price, and then either LS Fest West or I could go to the LS Fest East as well. But again, send me an email if you're interested in those. We've run that low buck truck. We've run it with nitrous and boost and blowers and all kinds of stuff and NA, and it picks up about 65 horsepower or so on a 5.3, and then the bigger cam picks up I think 81. It's just better at the top and then trades it off down low as is typical of kind of camshaft. So I still have a couple of those available. So get your orders in if you want those. Send me an email. I put my email address up. Send an email over to me. Send me a request. This live feed is sponsored by basically those camshafts. So I have those available, but the availability is going to, when they're gone, they're gone. And then also the price is going to go up. So if you want to get those now. On the Ford cams, on the big block Ford cams, if you're looking for those, let me know. Let's take a look here and see. -773-9 cam. Yeah, those roller cams are not cheap. And they would be available on the 15th though. So they are available. Those are $500 cams. So again, like half price for these $250, let's say. Plus shipping. So if you're interested in any of those, let me know. I have I think a stock replacement pan for it, a Mylodon one. Let's say $100 for the pan. I have a timing set. Let's say $100 for the timing set for the 460. I also have another cam for the 400M or a 351 Cleveland. It's the same camshaft. It's one of the cams that we ran on the 400M testing that I did way back. You can take a look at the videos I have up on the 400. This is either, and I haven't measured the lobe yet because the cam card's not there, but I only ran 2 cams on it. One of them was a hydraulic roller, a 236-242. The other one was a solid roller from the guys at MPG, which is like a 250-254 cam, so pretty good size. The 236-242 cam was a good cam. We made good power with that, and the other one is the one that we used to make 575 or 580, or I think with that low compression 400. So if you're interested in those, I have those. I also have a set of, for the small block Ford, I have one camshaft for a 302 or a 351. It's pretty big. It's actually one of the camshafts that I use when I was testing for Engine Masters. So when I built my combination for Engine Masters, I built a Windsor-based motor and was one of the finalists with that motor. The camshaft that I have is one of the ones that we tried. We tried 3 different ones. And Billy helped me spec one of these things out, and it's a TK series, so a fairly fast ramp. It's a solid roller. This one is 246, 249 at 50, and a 109 on a 109, and it's 683, 691 lift. We ran it with good cylinder heads. We had airflow research heads on there, which worked very well. So we made good power with that. But again, that is a solid roller cam. It's not something for your daily driver. It's for somebody wanting to make serious power. We had it on I think the limit was 410 inches. on that camshaft. I also have a set of, for guys that want roller rockers for a small block Ford, I have a set of Trick Flow 1/6 blue aluminum roller rockers for the small block Ford. So if you're looking for that, I have that. And as I said, I have a Trick Flow TFS R302, the EFI lower manifold, only the lower. I don't have the upper. I have the lower manifold. So let me know. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. Again, send me an email if you have any questions about any of the things. I could give you pricing on the stuff. I also have some HEMI cams. So if you're interested in Gen 3 HEMI cams, I've got some Gen 3 HEMI cams. I've got some LT stuff, LT1 and L83. I have a Titan 3 from Cam Motion for the Gen 5 LT stuff. So that one is a 226, 238, 630, 621 on a 113 plus 3. And then I have some smaller comp cams for like L83 applications, 206, 212, 210, 220, those kind of things. I have a couple of those. And then I have a couple of really good HEMI cams. We have from Cam Motion, I have a 225, 235 at 50, a 594, 578 on a 114. And then I have a 224, 228 from Comp, so 547, 550 lift. And then a smaller one. Oh, that one is that's an LT motor. And then I have one more that I need to check on the specs on that because I don't have the cam card with it. And then I had this weird, I have a weird hydraulic roller. That's a 476. Yeah, I have a 4-pattern retrofit hydraulic roller for a small block Chevy. If you're interested in that, let me know. They made those ostensibly to equalize what's going on with the single plane manifold where you have longs and shorts kind of thing. And so they make a 4-pattern cam that changes the outer specs and the inner specs to try to offset that. It's not totally effective, but it's kind of cool, kind of unique. So those are the things I want to talk about today. Tonight on the live feed, when we do it at like 7 or so, I'll go over some of the used LS cams that I have, because I have a few of those as well. So if there's anything I missed, rockers, Trick Flow, lower intake manifold, Ford 460 cams, the 400M or Cleveland cam, the solid roller small block Ford cam. We have the 4-pattern cam for the small block Chevy. We have some LT L83 cams and then some Gen 3 HEMI cams. So let me know. And also, if you're looking to get an inexpensive LS cam for your 4.8 or 5.3 or 6.0, I have those available, and you should get your order in before the before the pricing goes up. So let's see what you guys got going on. Main, I own a 4.6, but my 63 Ford had a 352. Okay, an FE motor, cool. Mark Sanchez has a Galaxy or a Fairlane that has a 352 in it. Getaway, Shop Truck Racing. Hanging out with my HEMI dual quad today. Oh, I also have one of those, Dylan. I forgot to mention, I have a dual quad HEMI intake manifold, the Edelbrock dual quad intake manifold. So if you're interested in that, hogging out my HEMI dual quad, hogging it out. Oh, I thought you said hanging out. Okay. Pants. I got some Truck Norris cams or Truck Norris light cams. Are you going to be selling your own LS cams? I have my own LS cams. The new ones that I have are mine. Any progress on the previous cam orders from other ones? Yeah, Adam, yours already shipped. Let's see here. Yeah, yours went out yesterday. All the rest of the cams will go out today. So all of the cam orders that I have will be gone today. 429 car applications. 460 was more of a truck motor. 460 was used in a lot of the full-size Lincolns and stuff. The truck cams are billet. and doing an LS swap, what is different about the radiator? Well, you have to, the radiator that you put in, first of all, has to fit from wherever the distance of the fan is, if you're using a fan, to wherever the radiator is. And then also the thing that you need to look at is the inlet and the outlet for the radiator. Where do those match up with where you have to run the lines to and from the water pump? 429 can factor in some Galaxy cars, Trinos, and some station wagons. Yep. I only have one small block Chevy cam links, and that's that 4-pattern cam. Any Mopar cams? Nope, I don't have any. Well, I had one, but that's already gone. So waiting for that tax money. Yeah. Making my list and checking it twice. There'll be quite a few. I've got some. I have the new cams, that low buck truck cam, which works really well, and then the 219 cam, which works good too if you want more power on top. And then I have some other used ones that will probably be bigger than that. I think I have some in the 220s, and we'll go over all that stuff tonight. Small block Ford cams, yeah, I did have one, but it's a big roller cam. I have an LQ4 engine, plus you have a dome piston in it, a calculated compression at. Defender, I've never heard of a 4045. 4045 must be the bore then, and a 4-inch crank. And a 10cc dome piston. What's the combustion chamber size? You can put a thicker head gasket on it, Defender. You can mill the dome off of that piston. You can put a bigger chamber head on. All of those things will lower the compression. The small block Chevy cam is 638 lift. It's big. It's 200. So that's a 76. Yeah, 250, 255, 265 at 50. So it's pretty good size camshaft. That's probably why I have it sitting there, because I don't know that I haven't run a lot of cams in that range on the small block Chevys that I can remember. You'd have to have good like airflow research heads or something on there that could take advantage of that to make power up where that thing would want to make power. 250, 260 cam is pretty healthy. It would be a lot. It'd be a lot of cam on a 350. But if you put a cam in there like that, and you'd have airflow research, 220, 225 heads, whatever the small block versions are. Cams or cylinder heads that can support 600 horsepower. So if you had a 383 or something, or a 406, that'd be good. I don't have any 4.3 liter stuff. Rover's in the house. Diesel torque Rover's in the house. Let's see. Let's look at some data here. That I'm taking a look at that 460, or not the 460, the 400 Ford that we did all the testing on. Let's see. So we have a good breakdown on that 400. So when it was stock, it let's see a test description here. Oh, I hate these older test descriptions. These things are terrible. So we had a 400M flat tops with 2 valve reliefs. It's saying that the compression's around 9-to-1, inch and 7/8 headers. It had a YN Stealth intake manifold on it. And I'm assuming it had a stock cam and stuff in it too. So it made 300 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque. So the torque was really good, which you expect of a 400-inch motor. Then we step things up. We put in a 236-242 solid roller cam. We put in a single plane. Let's see here. Yeah, put in a single plane CHI intake manifold because we put ported heads on it, ported aluminum heads on it. And then that jumped power up to 455, and peak torque was up into 472 foot-pounds. And then we did the big jump all the way up to 568 horsepower and 534 foot-pounds. And that was our big cam. That was a 726 lift on a 106, 250, 254. That was the MPG deal. Ported heads. And oddly enough, that had a big single plane intake manifold. Although we're starting the RPM run on the stock motor, on the stock 400M, we started it down at 2,000 RPM. So all you 2,000 RPM people, we started it way down there and it made 400 foot-pounds. When we put some camshaft in it, we moved that up to 3,000. But that thing had a nice torque curve. It made 568 horsepower and 536 foot-pounds of torque. So that's a good torque amount. Made peak torque at 5,000 RPM, peak power at 60. That was the same there at 6,200. So it did pretty good. That was and especially given the very low compression on that thing. Got any low RPM, high torque rover cams? Probably not as low as you want them. You have 68cc chambers in that thing. And did you go to Wallace Racing and plug all that information in to get the? I would put different pistons in it. I would put dish pistons in it. Dylan, you got a new grinder for your. So you're gonna do manifold porting. Is it an electric one? Yeah, John's asking the same thing. What is normal flow volume? Are you talking about peak flow numbers for the cylinder head? I had a 78 Bronco with a 400M, was a boat anchor, the ultimate insult to the great Cleveland. Raise a deck an inch and turn it into a low-end engine. The changing the deck height didn't do anything to the RPM potential. I mean, maybe it could have because you use a super long rod with it, and we know how rod ratio affects stuff. But the thing that hurt those is very, very mild cam timing, and all of those 400s came with 2V. I think they all came with 2V open chamber Cleveland heads, which is not a great combination. Low compression and flat cam. Yeah, they had tiny little flat tappet cams for the 400s. And I think that they were, did somebody say that those were either retarded or advanced or something? Like some of the factory stuff, and that you could change that by degreeing the cam properly. That was in the timing gears. Don't remember if that was a 400M thing or not. But if you think about it, it's a 400-inch Cleveland, so that really is nothing but good. So if you have, and we put good Cleveland heads on it because we put ported aluminum Cleveland heads on it, and a big single plane manifold and a 1050 Dominator, which is not really what you need for a 568 horsepower motor, but it does make good power. And it was a CHI 3V. That's what the intake manifold was designed to match. And then we use spacer plates because it was designed to run on a lower deck 351 Cleveland. And then we use spacer plates for the 400M. There weren't a lot of intake manifolds available for the 400M, so certainly not performance ones. So there's plenty of potential. I mean, it has 50 more cubic inches. Can a 305 handle compression more than a 305 because of the thick space between the cylinder? No, I would say that that's not a thing. You don't get to the limit of the block strength in terms of cylinder wall thickness before you get to the limit of something else before that. Connecting rod, piston, valve train, tune, all of that other stuff is kind of more important. Wow, I'm getting Christian Mingle ads on my email. I didn't realize they were more expensive. I've done mild port work, Dremels, and I've thought about stepping up to an actual electric die grinder, but haven't yet. The ones I saw Brule use a lot at West Tech was called a Do-More, and it was electric and not air. The thing I don't like about the air ones is they're very, very loud. You think that cross-bolting the mains makes a big improvement in block strength? Not necessarily. The block can actually be weaker if you do that, but it depends on what the rest of the design of the block is. You need to add strength in the proper areas where they're loaded. I think that cross-bolting it can have an effect like, having 4-bolt mains instead of 2-bolt mains, and you can add structure down at the bottom of the block. But that for the LS, that created a lot of other problems. That's why we have the Gen 4 upgrades with communication tunnels between them, because they had real individualized pulses down in the crankcase. So they had to alleviate that. And people have been doing that in race cars for a really, really long time. And that's why who did that, Dart or World or one of the guys made an LS block, but with a small block Chevy lower end that was not cross bolted, basically because of oiling concerns. But a Harbor Freight Hercules electric die grinder with an Amazon speed controller. The speed controller thing is cool. I like those. Although porting aluminum is certainly a lot better than trying to port iron, but that's kind of tedious work. It's a lot of stuff, and for me, you can just as easily ruin something as make it better. Does a shorter duration camshaft make higher torque down low? Yeah, lower duration camshafts tend to favor power production at a lower RPM. That's why you see big race cams have really long duration stuff, and that goes out of the other end of the scale. And as we go up from, like, for instance, the cams that I have for sale, one of them's a 212, the other one's a 219, and then the 219 makes more power at the top, but less power down low. That's pretty typical of camshafts. Nick, I ended up getting the Camaro, a 93 Z28. I wanted to go carbon distributor so that I can actually tune it myself. Wonder if you would continue to work with the LT1 or swap in a Vortec 350. If you're going to put a carburetor on it, then you can just use the LT motor. That's not a problem. You still have to drive the water pump off of the camshaft. On that motor, and it is reverse cooling, remember, but they make carbureted manifolds for that. I still have one, Bob. I haven't forgotten your I haven't forgotten your carbureted LT intake manifold. It's still sitting there, and I can get that back to you. You just let me know. But you just put the carbureted intake manifold on there, put a distributor in there, and it acts just like a small block. The LT heads are good, and you can make good power with them. You can port them also. There are camshafts available for them. But also the Vortec stuff is easy to do too. But if you go buy a Vortec motor, you won't have aluminum heads. I just got my air one because the old one seized up, and this was on sale. Yep, you got to make sure to get the oil in there on a regular basis. Did you know where I can get an adapter plate for Kenny Bell supercharger, 2.8 liter to fit the L67? I've only ever made one of those, and then we ended up destroying it. But I'm thinking about making another one. A 2.8 liter would be really big on there. The 6 liter cast iron head's good for anything. Yeah, somebody was supposed to be sending me a set of cast iron 6 liter heads. And I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if they ever got sent out or not, because I wanted to do an iron head versus aluminum head thing, but they're basically like a 317 head. Thinking about and unless the only reason people use them is because the car that they're driving, or the truck that they're driving in this case, had those on there and they were already there. Or you may be running in a race class that requires a factory iron head, and for a factory iron head, you're not going to get anything better than that. That 6 liter head certainly flows more than any of the previous Fuelie heads and small block Chevys, or even the Vortec heads. Those would flow a lot more, so you'd make a lot more power. But other than that, there'd be no reason to have them. Thinking about cam profiles, I had really good performance on a 5 liter. It was a hydraulic roller with a steep ramp and a lot of lift, but short duration and little overlap. The problem with that kind of camshaft is that the stability is really bad normally. It's okay if you're running low RPM, and that's not an issue, but that's actually hard on stuff. Have you seen electric dry sump oil pumps before? I haven't seen one personally. Maybe they've been used on race applications or something. Wouldn't cross bolt mains help with lateral capwalk? They might. Yeah, Tim, I'm hoping to get rid of some of this stuff. If you end up making one, make an extra one, and I'll buy it from you. Yeah, that's why I would do it. I would make them so that people could, BS cam stability, valve train stability. So if you test that on the Spintron, you can see what's going on. It creates problems with loft and bounce, valve train instability, which is what makes you break parts, and also it can have the thing not make power. But more than anything, it's just long-term durability of the camshaft and RPM potential. Bunty, what's going on? Came here to hit the algorithm. Thanks. Since nature abhors a vacuum, what are you going to fill your empty storage space with after you get rid of all these parts? I don't know. Probably, I'd like to just get rid of the at least one of the storage areas. I mean, I have a bunch of engines in there, so I would need to get rid of those things too. But there's endless endless amounts of stuff in there. That's what I need to do is I need to get motors together and get them tested and then get rid of them. Cedric, what kind of power can I expect from a Summit Racing 228, 236 cam, 416 stock bore, flat tops with valve reliefs? I'm hoping to make 600 horsepower. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by thoughts. 52 watching, 20 likes. We have more than that now. We have 56 and 35, so it's up. But we can do better, right? We can get more thumbs up. Yeah, valve train bouncy house. That's never good. It's really cool to see I got to see a lot of test results when I was back the last time I was at Brian Tooley Racing because they use their Spintron, have used it a lot. And when they're testing different cam profiles, and you can see where the problems are. And it's cool to, just like with a dyno, when you see something and go, oh, but what about this? And what about this? What about this? They're like, yeah, we're testing a lot of that stuff. But it just brings up more questions, and that's good. You have a similar problem to mine. I'm stuffing engines in the cars to get the car movable and get the engine out of the shop. That's the thing. I love it when I could finally get an engine together and have it be together and have it just stay together like that. But because of the kind of testing I do, it's not usually that. Would you be willing to make me one either way? Yeah, I think I will. I don't know when it would happen though. And I don't know about, well, we could see about are you sure you can fit a 2.8? And then the entry that has to go in there are you wanting to use that? Hopefully not with a stock throttle body, because that would not be a good idea. Richard, I need a 5.3 or 6 liter for my Camaro. Do I have any of those? No, I will have one, but it'll be kind of a high dollar thing. It's that aluminum, what is it? LH9 or L9H or something like that. But it's going to have ported heads and a cam and all kinds of new stuff on it. So it's not going to be cheap. Any recommendations on which book is best for LS builds? I'm pulling the trigger on part soon. I want to make sure I'm doing everything to spec, but seeing tons of different books. I don't know about a hands-on how-to assemble book. I don't think I've ever looked at one of those for LSs, but there's so much information online that I don't know that I would do that. Coffee break's over. Time to continue with the hogging. All right, Dylan, get after those ports. I need to refresh. I don't need to. Yeah, I won't be running a stock throttle bike. Yeah, it would just be a waste to restrict that thing, because that's what you'd be doing. You'd be running a restrictor plate on a 2.8. Do you have other things done to the 3800, Benjamin? Do you have ported heads and a cam and a ported intake manifold? Because the blower obviously has the ability to make lots of flow and lots of boost, but it'd be a lot easier on things if the motor itself is making more power. Will better valve train components such as a better lifters, rockers, push rod, springs, etc., help in any significant way if you're confined to a stock cam on a 5 liter? Why are you confined to the stock cam? And roller rockers will help on a 5 liter Ford. The lifters, I don't think you're going to gain much there. Springs, I don't think you'll gain any power because the factory spring I mean, if you go do a spring upgrade, you might see a little more RPM potential before valve float. Although we used to rev the 5 liter stuff out pretty high. Do you still have the stock heads on it too? because you could pick up power with those. Richard, I appreciate your interest in forward Cleveland head design. I've built many good running Windsor block-based cleavors. The cam choice was always where I struggled. Craig, I ran, in fact, I ran this, or a cam very much like this solid roller that I have that was one of the ones I used for my Engine Masters motor. We ran these because I ran a 351 based stroker with 3V CHI Cleveland heads on it. So we did a cleavor way back in the day, and it made really good power, as you would expect. Those are really good heads, and we know from the stuff that Kazi did that he was able to make a ton of power and do very well in Engine Masters. I'm doing good. So again, so for the new people that have just got here, I have a bunch of cams for sale. I've got some Ford ones. I've got some Gen 3 Hemis. I've got some LT L83 ones, and I have one weird small black Chevy Ford pattern camshaft. If you're interested in those, I put my email up, and so let me know. I also have on sale right now the low buck truck camshaft and the one step above that. So if you want a little more power on the top and less at the bottom, I got you covered. They're on sale right now, $169. They're new, $169 shipped to wherever you are. That price is going to go up before too long here. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Send me an email. This camp sale better be greater than Amazon's Prime Day. I don't ever participate in that. Kentucky, yes, I have. I just mentioned that I have that kind of cam for sale. Just send me an email. Got them in stock, ready to go. And now that after today, after we get off, I'm going to go down and mail off the last parts of all of the cam orders that I have. The solid roller for the Windsor block cleaver. Yeah, I have that cam, which is a 246, 249 on a 109, and it's a 683, 691 lift, and it's a TK series, which back then was a pretty aggressive profile. They may have different ones now, but that cam, we were looking specifically for average power production in a given RPM range for this motor, and I just ended up keeping that cam in there because we knew it would make power even with the Cleveland heads on it. The best small block Chevy complete centrifugal supercharger for 1,000 horsepower on a small block Chevy 383 500 horsepower motor. I don't know what you mean by what is the best one. There are lots of centrifugal superchargers that will do that. Vortec has a YSI. ProCharger has the F1A94. All of them. There are lots of different ones that will do that. I've got a new in the box Lanati cam for a small block Chevy. I don't want more cams. I want less cams. 0 is the 169 is just for a cam. What else would you expect for that price? It comes in a box too. On the 0661 Hemi, do you know how much piston and valve clearance they have with stock pistons? I usually work on LS, and it was weird seeing the piston raise above the deck at TDC. Are the pistons out of the hole on the Hemi? The LS stuff can be 5 to 8 thousandths out of the proud of the deck also on some of the stock applications, and we've seen them out that far. What cams and intakes carbs for 8.1? I don't have anything for that. Do you have a big block Chevy solid roller camshaft? I don't have any big block Chevys. I have big block Ford solid roller cams. What's a decent price for a used LS3 intake manifold? I don't know. Those things are probably not cheap. Can I ask for small block Ford cams you have? I only have one small block Ford camshaft, and it's a solid roller. I do have small block Ford hydraulic roller lifters that are new, if you want those, and small block Ford 1.6 trick flow blue roller rockers, if you want that for a small block Ford. But the one camshaft I have for the small block Ford is a solid roller. I do have a Trick Flow TFSR 302 lower intake manifold, the lower only for a 302. Off topic, my Fairmont wagon has a 302 with a 600 Holley Trick Flow heads, 286 Magnum cam, Lion Stealth intake manifold. When it runs 1221. What can I gain by going to a 650? I don't know that I'd go from a 600 to a 650. I think I would go to a 750 on that. And have you tried I think that there are better manifolds than the Lion Stealth, but you also might try like a 1/2-inch carb spacer on there, especially if you have a TKX trans 410 8.8. Yeah, with a manual trans, because you could just increase your launch speed a little bit. If you put an open spacer or even a 4-hole spacer or something on there, that might help you on the big end. Turbo Century, you want some Nissan Sentra cams? I do have a Nissan Versa intake manifold, a custom Super Richie intake manifold that I was going to offer a long time ago, and it picked up 14 horsepower. I still have that one available, and I have some other of those specialty intake manifolds that I did. No LS3 rockers. Have you ever seen anybody make an air compressor with an M90? I haven't. Know of any Anderson N41 cam? I don't know anybody selling any of those. I'm interested in a 6-liter LS truck cam. Do you have one that performs well in trucks? Yes, I do. You should send me an email. In fact, I have 2 of them, depending on how much power you want to make. Your pick, what's the best LS cam for a truck? If it's a 4.8 or a 5.3, I would pick the low buck truck cam that I have. Can you do a small block Chevy 40 mile per gallon project? I don't think you would get that with a small block Chevy. I think that would be really hard. I think what you'd have to do is, it wouldn't just be an engine project. It would be a vehicle project. It would have to be a small, lightweight vehicle that's very aerodynamic, and then a very efficient small block Chevy, fuel injected, that could run that we could run lean burn in. Hot mess. I have Gen 3 HEMI cams. I have a 547, 550, 224, 228, and a 114. And also a 594, 578, 225, 235 on a 114. And then I have another one too that I need to look up, and I'm not sure what it is. It might be a custom one. Williams, I have a low buck truck. I have that available. So send me an email and get them now, because like I said, the price is going to go up, and it's going to go up a good bit. Do the intake from the ZZ632 fit 8.1 Vortex? I don't know. I don't know enough about that 632 to know if they base that off of that that Gen 7 block or not. Do small LS cams work with Stroker LS 411 engine? A 411-inch motor? That's a weird combination. Yeah, you can put whatever cam you want in it. Take a look at the 408 Stroker test that I did, where we gained 175 horsepower going from a stock cam to a cam that the thing really wanted. But I ran a bunch of other cams. So I ran a stock cam, I ran like a 206 cam and a 224 cam, and then a 232 and a 239. And you can see where all those are, and you can see the trade-offs that are inherent in picking particular cam durations. So the bigger the cam is, the more power it makes on top, but you start to sacrifice low speed power. Ryan, my email is in the description of this video, and also right here. So you can always go get it. I posted it earlier in the chat, and then it's in the description, and then it's in It's in the chat again. I have inch open carb spacer installed. Okay, good. I run the wine for hood clearance. I was able to pick up the 650 for cheap. Yeah, let me know what happens and see. Is the 600 a vacuum secondary carburetor? What do you think about the Anderson N41 cam for small block Ford? I don't know. I don't know what the specs are on that cam. I suspect that they're like the comps that were available way back when. In fact, I would be surprised if comp isn't grinding them for them, but I don't. All the people that have run the Anderson cams have been happy with them, and they've been doing it since way back. But I just don't know what those specs are. And that would be something else that I would like to do. Is I'd like to do some small block Ford cams. I don't have any LS3 intakes. I have lots of LS3 cams though. It's a mechanical secondary 600. Okay, cool. Is it a mechanical secondary? Is it an HP carburetor? It's like a 600 HP. Do they even? Do they even make a 600 HP carburetor or an XP now? North Star testing would be interesting. A fairly cheap aluminum double overhead cam V8. Yeah, it is kind of cool. I think Calvin's going to do stuff with it. Oh, by the way, I want to let you know they have Calvin. If you haven't heard, Calvin and his dad, they got their rig stolen with the car, and that car had been with them since Calvin was a little kid. So it's very important to them. They've set up a GoFundMe, and let's see here. And so everybody, if you can go help, that would be great. Let's see here. Calvin's dad sent me a thing on it. GoFund.me/CO8C6628, and I'll try to post it on my Instagram and Facebook and too, so you guys can see that. Yeah, because Calvin's dad, they're good people. Wrecker Race 302 at a Fox. Do you still like the 274 for a great street strip cam? I do. I think it's a good cam. I think it could, I mean, it's decades old. I think something could be done that's better, but right now, that's kind of a really good combination of street and performance. I think it straddles that line pretty well. No, it's a Holly double pumper. Got it years ago. Okay. John, what's going on? I want a cam, but I want to chat with you before I order it. Is that possible? Yeah, you can send me an email and I'll answer any questions that you have. Yeah, Calvin, they got their rig stolen, I guess, and the car was in it. Ryan just emailed you. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've done for the LS community. Are planning on switching to a different engine platform on the channel? If you look at the channel, I test every engine platform. So there's not just one. Have you ever tested 302 Cleavors and Crowder hydraulic roller? I have run Crowder cams before. I've never, the only 302 Cleavor that would qualify as that description is I've run Boss 302s, which is essentially what that is. But other than that, no. An old N41 cam card from StangNet says 222, 232. 512, 110 just came up during a search. Okay, so that's the N41 cam then is like that 274 cam. which is 224, 232. It has more lift, so I would suspect that the 224, 232 comp cam would probably make more power than that, because it's 542 or 545, 565, 542, 562 on a 112. That one might make a little bit more torque. I saw the video. They bought Calvin that car when he was 16, and Calvin's dad bought the truck new. Yeah. And if I stop moving, it might seem like there's lag, but it's just from me looking at something. Yeah, I test everything because I'm not a Chevy person. I'm not a Ford person. I'm not a Honda person. I have been accused of being all of those things, or each one of those things individually at some time, a modular Ford guy or whatever. Because I've written books on Honda stuff, the D series, B series, K series. I did a bunch of stuff on the Ford Focus, the Z-Tech stuff. 5-liter Ford was my first book. I've done a bunch of LS books, a couple of Ford books. But I've tested almost everything. Atlas 4200s. Tested a lot of stuff on the chassis dyno, lots of import stuff. I haven't run a lot of the import. I've run lots of Hondas on the engine dyno, but not other import motors on the engine dyno, but a lot of them on the chassis dyno, old Eclipses and stuff, rotaries. Have I ever done a Nissan? I have not done a VK56, not on the engine dyno. I think it's time to be a Rover person. For you and the other guy out there that are that are interested in Rover V8s. Any cam recommendations? Trying to make 700 horsepower for the street on my 5.9 liter Magnum. And I'm going turbo. Okay, 700 horsepower is easy with a turbo Magnum then. You just need a mild Magnum cam, something that's a 224 or less at 50 on the intake. Something that'll fit available piston to valve clearance. I don't know what you're doing with the rest of the combination. Probably a better intake than the kegger would be a good idea. And then all you have to do is put a camshaft or a turbo on it that will allow you to make more than 700 horsepower, which is easy to find. Are there any long runner intakes like old school ones that would make lots of gobs of torque for trucks? Interestingly enough, I designed one of those, and I might be selling it to somebody. We need those books at every local library to be checked out for free. Need to spread the knowledge. About my stuff is the same thing that I cover here. It's really just dyno testing. A lot of guys want more detailed information on swaps, and those kinds of books are out there, or just how to assemble, disassemble, and assemble your first LS, which is another good book, and people are interested in that. Richard, I bought 823 heads for my 408 stroker. They do not come with any rockers. What size rockers you suggest for the 219 cam? I suggest if you have 823 LS3 heads or LY6 heads, that you run stock rockers on it. I'm running an LS3 with 821 heads. Would you run stock hollow stem valves, or is there a better set of valves that aren't too expensive? I would run the stock valves on that. Silent majority. Oh, I make it three Rover V8 people. Still trying to figure it all out. Yeah, the keg needs to go, definitely going Holley EFI. A dual plane intake manifold, like an EFI dual plane intake manifold, would be a good idea. You could do a single plane also, but you're going to lose low speed power. You might be able to get there with the keg, but it's such a low RPM manifold that it would be problematic. Scott, you're complaining about the OJ trial that happened decades ago. The intake you designed, does it have to be metal or can it be plastic 3D printed? It's not. It wouldn't be metal, no. If possible, could you verify a 5-liter small block Ford combo and results in a video from Engine Labs that made 829 horsepower with the Vortec SI? Can post link if allowed. I don't know what are you asking? You want me to duplicate something that somebody else has already done to show that it can do that? Yeah, you don't normally buy cylinder heads. Martin's thing was, well, most heads don't come with rockers, and that's true. If you buy cylinder heads from somebody, used ones or new ones, they don't. Almost never do they sell them with rockers. It would be nice if they came that way, and push rods, and a camshaft, and new head gaskets. And new head gaskets. 3D printing is another thing that I would like to learn and then excel at. I have to take one step before the other one so that I can, I would love to be able to do the things that I envision. Normally, especially with intake manifolds, I have to weld all the stuff together or have the stuff welded together if it's aluminum. But being able to 3D print stuff would be really, really nice. And I still need to run my 3D printed intake manifold, the Super Richie Ram, the Richie Ram. When you source junkyard parts for the dyno, how often did you blueprint or just eyeball inspection clean? I don't know what you mean by blueprint. We don't blueprint anything from a junkyard. We grab the motor from the junkyard. Sometimes we clean it off. Now the guys at Westech kind of insist on that we don't put a ratty motor up and dirty their engine dyno. Clean it off, and I put it on the dyno and see if it runs. Put oil in it and new filter, and then see if it runs. And if it runs, then it's a win. Like that L33, we didn't do anything to it. We just put it on there and ran it, and then started upgrading it by running endless amounts of cams and turbos and intake manifolds, and now cylinder heads and more camshafts and more intake manifolds and endless M90 supercharger testing, all kinds of stuff. So I don't take it apart. I don't verify that everything's okay. When it's in the wrecking yard, particularly if it is in a crashed vehicle, we assume that the motor was running when the vehicle came to its untimely demise. For non-boosted intakes, we could print you up some prototype intakes using not standard materials. The problem with doing intake manifolds is and having them printed, which is why I haven't tested this one yet, because I'm gonna have to go through some steps, is the heat associated. Some of these things, some of the 3D printed stuff doesn't respond very well to high heat. And so if you we normally run them fairly cold. In terms of water temperature, we could run it at 120 or 130 degrees probably. But I just don't want the thing to go away and hurt itself before we get any testing done. How often do you try to run a junkyard engine that turns out to be dead or unusable? It has happened before. We usually try to spin it, and when we're at the wrecking yard, and if it spins, it wins, is my phrase. But that's not always the case. I mean, that 4.8 that I got is a perfect example. I got that the same day that I got the 5.3 aluminum motor, and I wanted a 4.8 because we wanted to do a 6-liter. We want to take a 4.8 and turn it into a 6-liter, and or a 5.3, doesn't matter. But we wanted to do some 4.8 testing, so I grabbed that one too. Just found a 4.8 and thought, oh, this is probably good. And when I got it back, it had all kinds of problems. It had one rocker that the guy tried to glue in place. The other side had 2 bent push rods, and both the rockers were not even connected anymore. The cam was destroyed. At least one of the lifters was destroyed because it had rotated in the thing. The port was two of the ports were just filled with carbon to where it would be hard for air to even flow in there. The one of the cylinders again had like an inch of carbon buildup on it, other than where it hit the head. So it was not in good shape, and I had to. You see, I have a video up of all the things I had to do to it just to get it working again, and I did. It was not working great, but it still worked. Generic printing can handle up to 150C. That's pretty good. Does 829 attainable with the Vortec SI 302? Yeah, Ryan, I just made an announcement about Calvin's thing. There's a GoFundMe page to help those guys back out. So if you want to do that, 800 horsepower is possible with a Vortec. I don't know that I've made 829 with an SI. I need to look and see what the rating is. I can tell you that the rating that they have on their website is not accurate. It's way conservative because we've always made more power than they say that their blowers will work. And 829 horsepower seems more like TI trim territory to me, but that's not saying that you can't do it. This is just like saying that the M90 won't make 650 horsepower. Now, for the vast majority of people, they've never done that. But it can be done. I'd need to look at the combination. Those guys over there are good, so I'd like to see what combination they put together. Yeah, they tried to glue it, and not even good glue. They just used silicone, and as you might imagine, it didn't work because what they did was they broke a rocker bolt off, and then tried to drill it out, and then slipped on the drill and went to the side of the broken bolt, and then ruined the hole or ruined a portion of the hole because we ended up still using it. So the threads were still there. It just had a second hole next to it that overlapped. It kind of looked like a figure eight. We were able to get the rocker out, and I've run that motor with that bad, with not all of the threads there. We've rerun that motor like that. But yeah, it was a nightmare. I mean, it was just, I couldn't believe somebody would try to do that. I've always heard low compression for superchargers to avoid detonation on 97 octane gas. There's any compression limit on turbo motor compression? Yeah, it's the same thing. You're still building cylinder pressure, and compression and boost. It's better to give yourself lower compression with forced induction stuff, only to give yourself a bigger tuning window. What size are stock LY6 rockers? They're the same as every rec port headed deal, LS3 based rec port headed deal. They're all 1.7s. Did Calvin have any insurance? I don't know. You'd need a thermoset 3D printer to withstand high temperatures. Yeah, we're not talking about high temperatures. We're talking about 130 or 140 degrees for. Yeah, they're saying 775. We know that we can go more than that on a SI. But again, I don't know that you'd want to be looking to max that thing out. Maybe they spun that thing way past its maximum number, put a radius entry on it, had a cog belt on it, built a really, really powerful 302 to begin with. Most of the high temp plastics are injection molded. My old Dynan IS R3, 3.2 liter inline six, made 415 at the wheels on 12 psi. Thanks for all you've done on the car community. Happy to help. I gotta go pretty soon. We didn't even have a poll, right? Here, we'll have a quick poll. Okay, is $169 a super good guy price for an LS cam? So see what people have to say about pricing here. Can a factory hydraulic roller blocked solid withstand any level of solid roller cam? Tell me how you're going to do that. Did Gray Basketball have any funny jokes? I don't know that I ever met Gray. I may have seen him out at Bonneville, but I was never around him because I was never a staff guy. Yeah, LS7 rockers are taller, but but that's not an LS3 base motor. E85 definitely adds power, Ryan. On boosted stuff, it's normally 30 or more. KM, you can send me an email, and I have those the low buck truck available. $51,900 on $52,000 max RPM, 7,000 stock pulley combination, 687 and a 333. Were they running that with a serpentine belt? I know, who voted no, right? Yeah, cams are not cheap now. They are not. They ran it with an 8 rib. That just seems like the wrong way to go. An 8 rib's pretty solid, and that's not a lot of load on the blower, like 800 830 horsepower. Right now, Scott, it does include shipping, but it won't for very long. Shipping to Australia, yeah, that's not going to be the case. Polypropylene is liquid around 300 degrees Fahrenheit, so a typical 3D printed part should withstand 150. Might be a little soft at that temperature, though. Yeah. What I'm going to try to do is, I need to run that, and I have a good motor to run it on. What I'm going to try to do is maybe gold foil the head, and I was even thinking about putting a gasket there, like we have those Felpro gaskets that we use for carbureted manifolds, and that might help insulate the intake. You're going to dowel in place the plunger spring and a stock hydraulic roller. Yeah, I don't understand why you're wanting to do that. Yeah, 169 shipped that's a pretty good price. Will I be able to run the 112 with a 6 rib at 12 psi or so? Yeah, you're not going to be you're not going to be making too much power, right? Is the 112 on the small block Turbo Sentra, or does it have or do you have it on the 350 or on the Sentra motor? Does gold foil actually help? Yeah, gold's a really good insulator. That's why they use it on the McLaren F1. That's one of the reasons I think that car is really cool. And there are a lot. And anyone know of a good place to look for a 6L80 torque converters that have slightly higher stall speed than the factory? Does anybody have any ideas on the 6L80? This cam will never be wrong. They'll all be wrong. Any knowledge on the Nelson Racing Engines X-Ram? They have a cross-ram manifold? Solid steel dowel replacing the spring and lifter. Oh, okay. I don't know, Craig. I don't know what the hydraulic roller has done in terms of the structure and the bridge on the roller, and then the roller itself. I don't know if the materials changed on a solid versus a hydraulic. I don't know the strength of that part of it. You're not probably going to hurt the body. because it probably has a similar thickness, I would imagine. And you're not going to hurt whatever piece of steel that you put in there with a. Is it going to be hollow? How are you going to get push rod oiling? How are you going to manage that? You should run an S50B32, same head as an S70-2. Oh, a BMW thing? Just trying to compare against my friend's combo Ford Boss 302 crate engine with Vortec SI at the same lower RPM. I'm running the M90 on a small block 350 and the M112 on the Sentra. Also, I can flip the supercharger upside down. Yeah, yes, you can flip the supercharger upside down. So the 112 on the Sentra, you can certainly run that with a 6-rib belt. You're not going to be processing too much air for that. $169 is a good guy price for dinner now. It is expensive. You know where I'm surprised at is when we go to a if we go to a fast food place. It's like I'm not coming here anymore. Everything here, every meal should be $5. BS show. We've run 7-rib belts. We've run them on 8-rib pulleys. We've had them trim off one rib. Two jumbo jacks for $5. That's all I can afford. That's a good deal though. Though I get I like their tacos for Jack in the Box. And breakfast jacks. That used to be the cheap deal. Is I would get a breakfast jack and 2 tacos, and then I could get out of there for like $3 or $4. Then I could get go back to West Tech. They have a soda machine, 75 cents. Boom. I'm waiting at the In-N-Out line. My son was Lisa went to pick up my son last night from soccer, and they went over to get In-N-Out and asked me if I wanted something, but I didn't. I was good. Yep, Jack in the Box tacos are classic. You can only eat about 30 or 40 of these. And I have a soft spot for those because I actually was able to get a car because of that. I got this what is affectionately known as the Silver Bullet, which was I think it was a 77 Honda Accord. And the reason we called it the Silver Bullet is because it was originally a silver car. And then my buddy Harold painted it with that spray chrome. And when he first did it, it was like so bright you couldn't even look at it in the sun, and then obviously that faded away. But it was, it had I think that's the one that had it had no 5th gear, and 3rd gear was really notchy, so we do 1st, 2nd, skip, shift into 4th, and then drive it in 4th the whole time. And the motor had, I don't know, a few 100,000 miles on it. But he said I could have the car if I went to go get tacos from Jack in the Box. So I'm like, okay, dude, I'll definitely do that. I will be the proud owner of the Silver Bullet, and drove it around for a long time, and then ended up trading it for an intercooler, an air-to-air intercooler from a Turbo Supra. So I thought, hey, it's a pretty good deal for me. So for 75 cents, yep. Last bastion of fast food deals. We used to hit the J to the B for a dozen tacos on Wednesday nights. Yep. $5 footlongs. Yeah. Traded it for a microphone. Nope. An intercooler. I don't remember. We used the intercooler I used that intercooler, and it was sticking up out of the hood because we ran it at, shout out to the guys at Steve and at Powertrain Dynamics for letting me do all the chassis down testing that I did there. But I brought my Del Sol over with a turbo on it, and we ran that air-to-air intercooler. We just hung it up in the air and connected tubes to it like you do. And that worked good. And I ended up trading that intercooler core to somebody else for something. I'm like, that I traded this for a car, so this thing has value. Yeah, Craig, no, I get that, but if as long as you can machine that and make all that work on converting your hydraulic roller to solid roller. Oh, that's right, Cam. That's a good point. That is the deal. That's the best meal deal. And I love the fact that those guys are still adamant about. For a long time, they're worried about losing money, but they figured out a way to at least amortize that and break even, I guess. And they want to always keep their Costco combo at $1.50, which is this is an awesome deal. Advice for the first time engine assembly 5.3 LS for a short block, no mechanical experience. Make sure that you go online and look at how-to videos and write down, have a notebook, write down all of the specs that you're doing. If you're, if the short block's already together, then most of the stuff is just easy. But write down all of the, if you're assembling the short block, write down all of the torque specs for the rods and mains and stuff. I just talked with a large format printing buddy, so they're using Peak to print manifolds now. $5 rotisseries, yeah, those chickens too, or pigeons, or whatever they whatever they are. Could you please explore the? Oh, I thought you were talking about Calvin, the NRE cross rams. Yeah, I saw that. It's awesome. You don't have to. If Tom Nelson did it, and the guys at Nelson Racing did it, it's awesome. So that's my insight. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be right. 5-liter Big Bang Challenge, 829 horsepower. Did they do that with a stock block? Is 108 lobe separation bad for daily driver? It depends on what the duration numbers are. A 191, 192 with a 108, that's not going to be bad at all. A 264, 274 with a 108, that's going to be pretty bad. $829, that seems like a lot for a stock block. Close out our poll at 88%, 88% Tavos. And on that note, look how long we've been here. We've been here like an hour and a half, dudes. I will see you guys all tonight with more LS cams for sale.